Hello, YouTube. A few seconds ago, our latest meetup ended. Peter Gentsch, our guest, and we discussed about ChatGPT and a lot of questions around that issue. Three things I learned today. First, ChatGPT is a large language model, not a knowledge model. The second thing is that a good prompt engineer already costs you $300,000. And the third thing I learned today is that we have companies or employees who are not allowed to use ChatGPT from their management. Join our channel, subscribe it, and see you later here in the meetup from AX Semantics.
Peter is our guest today. I'm really delighted that you're here because ChatGPT, yes, that's on everyone's lips. But we think that today we will learn something new about ChatGPT. We will learn something from the scientific perspective. You will present to us your study that you conducted, but Peter, feel free to introduce yourself to us. Feel free to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you come from, and so on. And then you have the floor and can present to us your study. I am Peter Gentsch. I have the professorship for international business administration and digital transformation, but I'm also an entrepreneur. I spent some summers and winters with that topic, and we experienced lots of game changers, but then suddenly people were a little bit disillusioned. So we are living in exciting times, in times of upheavals. I'm very astonished by what is happening currently. So this is not a lecture, but I would like to present to you what is happening in the field of technology, but I'll also talk about the field of business. So please don't tune out after lunch. You might. This is not a lecture, but yes, something that will be interesting to all of you. I hope so. Okay, then let's get started. We see what's happening outside, something that's a mainstream topic. People often refer to this issue as a people AI. The Economist also touched on this issue last summer. He talked about the foundation model. Today we'll look at transformer models like ChatGPT, and Stanford said, then this is a foundation. I like that concept because it has two implications. A foundation is a new paradigm for AI, a game changer, and a foundation is also something that enables other use cases. So it's a very broad concept. You have different use cases here, and for that reason, I really like that concept of a foundation. Sometimes people make some statements that are a bit overblown. I worked with AI, but I haven't experienced something supernatural here. People really go way overboard here, but we try to be realistic about this issue today. Well, if I look at these search trends, I see something very interesting. People who focused on crypto before are now focusing on AI. There's one very exciting correlation between AI and ChatGPT. In ChatGPT is just one part of AI. That's very interesting. It's important to underline this. We have neurosciences that can be combined with different fields of application. And ChatGPT is not AI and not vice versa. No, it's just one part of the generative AI that is based on deep learning, which was the first step. It is combined. We have the natural language processing and deep learning, and combined, we have an intersection here that is generative AI. And ChatGPT is just a part of AI. So other fields of AI are also used in other areas. So it's just one small part of AI. We have some expectations as for AI and Google Assistant and so on. They just know how to predict the weather. But now something happens that is entirely new in the field of conversations. People said that some friends of mine say that they prefer spending an evening with a bottle of wine and ChatGPT than with their friends or with their wives. Okay, that's not a very desirable development. So who was the inventor? Transformer. Transformer is a technology that is new. Neural networks have existed for some time now, but the transformer development is something that is new. Google really laid the foundation here. They used the transformer architecture as a baseline. So you can say that someone from Germany invented ChatGPT, or at least laid the foundation for the development of this model. So who has the most language models? First, I'd like to look at the algorithms very briefly. We all talk about OpenAI and Microsoft. Then Meta has also a new model that is launched already. Google has the most models. It has the best track record and the best models in total. Google is defined as an AI company, but in public, they had a very unfortunate press conference, and they really had to face a staggering blow. There won't be a monopoly in general. There will be Meta, Alpha, Google, and so on. There will be numerous competitors on the market, numerous language models that can be used in different situations for different use cases. But Google was a bit sluggish. They really focus on the search engine, but not so much on the language models. And that was the problem with Google, because they focused on the search engine. But there will be a very insightful competition that we will see in the time to come. Okay, I'd like to shed some light on this very topic. Those who know data analysis, there is supervised learning and also unsupervised learning. So the system learns itself. Here we have this procedure where you have a sentence and a gap, and you try to predict the word, and then you take the next word, and so on. So it's about the same thing that happens on your phone. You try to make the machine learn the next word. That's the model. It's very simple, but also very powerful. It is a purely statistic estimation of which word comes next. These are language models that are also used in other areas, in the voice area and so on. It's the underlying principle here. It's a very trivial system that's not intelligent. It's a straightforward system. But no, it's not that simple, okay? If you look at ChatGPT, you can see the following. You have different layers here. You have the attention layer. That's not trivial in this architecture. You have numerous word patterns and correlations, contexts, and so on. And how can the tool know what the focus is on? Of course, you have a prompt and a context. You have to direct the system into a direction and to tell the system on what to focus. Then there is the issue of embeddings, of word embeddings. Then we have fine-tuning as well. The human is in the loop here. OpenAI has is working with numerous click workers to improve the quality of the model. Of course, you don't want to have this in the press because they are poorly paid, just $1 or so. So yes, ChatGPT is working with click workers, and it shows that these models only work with humans, with a human in the loop, to achieve an appropriate quality or the desired quality. If we all use ChatGPT and give feedback, we also train this model. And that's essential also for OpenAI and ChatGPT. And then we have the safety layer. You just have a check mechanism here to make it safe. So what is important here? You cannot fine-tune the models and use it in a company, especially not as for quality assurance, because the systems tend to fantasize. Yes, okay, but the project is just in the early development stages. Yes, there are some quality checks in place, and if you have them, you can reach or achieve a decent quality. With GPT, you can also use longer prompts, but longer prompts don't necessarily result in better results. So you have to be realistic here. So you have to reach a compromise. These models are very good, but they have a weak point. They predict something that you don't know is happening. So the developers don't know exactly what the result will be. And that is essential to understand here. Yes, okay, so the machine generates answers, but also gives you a source. And the source does not exist because it is a source that is just purely made up. But okay, Sam Altman communicated this very truthfully. He was very clear about this and frank. They knew that there are some hurdles and tails and that they're working on this hurdle and that they're trying to overcome them in the time to come. So they are aware of these issues that are entailed. And there's also clear communication about that. Okay, so much for that. Now, let's have a look at the customer journey as just one example of how to use ChatGPT. So we did a study and tested it. We looked at the entire customer journey in the field of awareness, pre-sales, and after-sales. We looked at the different stages of the customer journeys. Okay, it's a very simple process. We looked at the texts that were generated at Instagram and the landing pages and so on. And then we also wanted to have pictures. So we just took the text and used the ChatGPT and the GPT-3 playground. And we said, okay, ChatGPT, please generate us the same text again. We asked thousands of consumers and asked them which they prefer. We did not tell them which was generated by an AI system and which one was created by human beings. To be frank, we had some editors who were unfair towards the AI, but it's a psychological effect. So we did not tell the consumers which one was produced by an AI and which one was produced by editors. In the awareness phase, the human being performed a bit better, but in all other areas, the AI-based content outperformed the editorial content. That's a very clear and astonishing result. When we asked why, they said the text is more personal. We think that it is something that is more tangible, and that is very astonishing. It's a more credible text in general. So they deemed the AI text to be more creative in general. There were also other criteria. We had the flash index, which measures the readability of the text. And then we also have the perplexity index, which measures the randomness of a text. The flash index was better with the AI texts than with the editorial texts. And as for perplexity, we did not find a systematic approach. We could not say which text was written by an AI system and which one was an editorial text. So what I found is that there are some indicators that give a hint that the text is written by an AI system. Do we have to label it? No, I don't think so. You can take the content and edit it, and then it's your own. Yes, it is a very topical issue, especially as for bachelor thesis and master thesis. How can you really notice that a text is written by an AI system? It is an issue that we have to look at in the time to come, but it is really difficult to notice that and to detect it. Google says, for instance, that they want to generate valuable content for the users, and that's what an AI does. Why should we restrict that? I went to the SMX in Munich to an SEO conference, and we talked to several SEO experts. We don't experiment with this tool, but we use it for production. Okay, so what are the effects of that? Just imagine the entire world creates content for the landing pages and so on. The AI then uses this content again because the language is created with data which is there already. So they use this synthetic content to train your new language model. So then this is a synthetic filter bubble, a synthetic content bubble. Maybe it gets exciting again to create then human editorial content again, just to be special, because the content might become increasingly similar if you only use AI-based content. But in general, is the AI does the AI perform better? No, not necessarily. There are some blog contributions and Instagram posts and so on, and the error tolerance is a bit bigger here. If you want to see the study in detail, you can do that. I just wanted to give you a flavor of it. We did it with a market research company from Hamburg together, and it was very insightful. So how can you use it in the field of business? I have two examples here. On the one hand, you have a high error tolerance. Just imagine you have a topic and you really like to brainstorm. Because at the end of the day, I won't use this. So I can use the AI to brainstorm. And then if I want to have a good product description, the error tolerance is very low. So for brainstorming, you have a high error tolerance. And for other topics, you really want to have a human being in the loop. So in a freestyle world, you can use it. But for other issues, you might want to have a checking system in place. So in critical processes, you might want to have a human being to check the quality of the results. So maybe, yes, there is some interaction with the system, but yeah, you have to differentiate the two sides here. Sometimes it's great to have this fantasizing system just to give you some inspiration. And you can use this creativity of the system to be innovative and to come up with new ideas. But it is not good, for instance, if you want to develop a software code, a software that is used for an airplane, for instance. You have a really low error tolerance in this respect. That is absolutely clear. Just imagine you have an audience at a conference. What questions might come up from the floor? Yes, the AI said, okay, here are the answers that you can read on the slide. But yes, okay, data protection also is an issue here. Okay, the prompt engineering becomes increasingly important. Prompt is the textual creation of the language models. I was really enthused about the pictures that were created with DALL-E, for instance, but some platforms also create prompts that are available for free, and then you can just use this system and adapt them to your needs. So the prompt engineering is truly the thing that is the difficult part here and the most important part. SEO optimization also is important. There are numerous prompts for SEO optimization, but sometimes you really have to build processes. You might have a crawler here or a pipe that calculates certain sentiments. Then you have a quality checks in place, and then this is used for e-commerce. So I am in a corporate environment here where I have to be very vigilant and act with circumspection. So then I don't interact with the module. I don't say, hey, ChatGPT, do this and that. No, you use it as an integral part of your infrastructure. You cannot say that one thing is good or one thing is not good. You should not mix things up, the freestyle and personal area and the corporate area. Corporate area means that you have to be, or that you have to look at the specific industries. There are individual solutions for specific industries. There are different functions. You can use it on the management level, for the purchase area, or also for sales. You can use it for strategic decisions or for HR. A colleague of mine developed something that looks like this. You might be aware that there are SWOT analyses. There are strengths and weaknesses that are entailed. You can ask SWOTbot.ai. It needs about 5 minutes. You enter the company name, and then you get an entire SWOT analysis in just a push of a button. It is not a ChatGPT system, but it's a Google open source system. And GTP was a bit better as for the summaries. So for different use cases, you might want to use different systems. ChatGPT is not an open system. BERT is an open source system. It can be a strategic decision to focus on BERT, for instance. Is this model perfect? No, it is not. If you show this to your leadership team, just be careful about it because it is not a perfect system. But it is augmented intelligence. You can do your research with this system. But you can use your time for better things to improve the system and to improve your call to actions. And with this idea, the language models are a great foundation. If you want to have an automated SWOT analysis just at a push of a button, of course, this doesn't work. You have to be critical here, but it can be used for certain situations. Teltec is one of the biggest player for cameras and studio equipment. It is truly complex to buy a camera. There are various cameras, different equipment, different filters, and so on. A truly complex object, and the support team is understaffed. We have a lack of skilled staff here, so you might want to consider to use a chat box. Can't you just build a chat box that answers the questions? We combined ChatGPT and also a knowledge graph. that is used in this tool. So we merge a language model with a knowledge domain to get a knowledge model. And it is really fantastic to see the answers here. The first examples were a disaster, but by now it has a really high quality. The results are really satisfying. You can really relieve the work of a company by using this model or such a model. Okay, to come to an end, I'd like to show you this slide here. Sometimes I see people who write prompts, show images, and use different models and charts. So you have various data sources, texts, photos, and also other data that can be used from the internet. And then you have different output formats. Maybe you can use a product photo, create a product description, and have a product description for SEO optimization. Or you have a technical drawing, use a 3D view, and make a 3D model. It is a business canvas that is used for generative AI. You can use it for process optimization or competitor pages, YouTube videos, or call center recordings. So there are different input data that you can use. And you can also focus on new products, SWOT AI, for instance, that wouldn't have existed without the generative AI. Or the smart fridge, for instance. You don't talk to the service team, but to the fridge directly. Of course, there's no silver bullet and no rules as for how you approach this matter. These models, however, help you to achieve your endeavor. You can use new products and streamline your processes and come up with new ideas based on this foundation of the model. But yes, we are just in the beginning here, but we can use this as a production and innovation factor, and these models can help us to be a little bit creative about this. Okay, let's have a look at the outlook. Yes, we had a calculator some time ago. There were protests by teachers, and we also discussed this issue at university. And the university also discussed this matter as ChatGPT was used for exam questions, for instance. Is this tool good for research? Yes, but you can't get your answers from these tools. You can discuss on how to integrate them, but not to regard the tool as a individual and sole solution. It is an issue that you should take seriously, definitely. Okay, let's have a look at this slide here. Just to give you a flavor of how safe you can feel in your job or whether you should fear to be pushed out of work by AI. On the left side, yes, safe. On the right side, yes, you have some risk here. As you can see, on the top right, you have the best paid jobs and the most vulnerable people, and so on. On the top left, a lot of money for your job, but at least vulnerable. An SEO optimizer maybe is faced with more problems because over time, these jobs will be replaced by AI, but new jobs will also occur. For instance, these job profiles, the prompt engineer, for instance, or an AI language engineer. I don't know. Do you have a prompt engineer in your company? I mean, I think not all of you will have a prompt engineer, but these jobs will be the jobs of the future. And Brecht once said, ChatGPT will replace people, but those who are replaced deserve that. But no, that's not exactly true. this will be an issue that will be on our agenda for the time to come, definitely. And we will have to wait and see what happens. Yes, that is an example from the magazine The Spiegel. You have to pay a lot of money for a good prompt engineer. And this is not only true for one industry, but for various industries. The cloud providers will be the winners, but some industries will be upended by AI. But some industries say, okay, we will integrate AI. AI is not our enemy, but something that will facilitate our everyday work. But what happens with technologies in society in general is something that will be on our agenda for some time to come. We will have to deal with it in the time to come. Okay, this slide shows that ChatGPT can replace jobs. The red slide, the employees who want to use ChatGPT instead of workers, and the blue column are the answers of the employees who fear for their job. You see that people working in sales are very optimistic. Same applies to design. So yes, something will happen in the future, and that's definitely certain. MIT said that they want to increase productivity, 35% increase in productivity that's expected with ChatGPT. And employees said that they would be willing to spend 0.5% of their salary for ChatGPT to facilitate their working life. In January, we met the first time at this conference. In February, we met again. It's a working group. It is the AI Foundation Circle, and interesting companies from various industry discuss on how to use AI in their everyday business. Some people say they can't use ChatGPT for legal reasons. So there are various issues that have to be discussed in this matter. So they just imagine our employees use sensitive data and feed it in ChatGPT and give this data away, and that's not allowed actually. So lots of issues that have to be discussed and that we shed light on at this business circle. So it is not about drafting the best prompt, but it's about discussing as to how you can create valuable products together with your team. At my first meeting, I really learned a lot because lots of people from various industry convened at this meeting. It's a non-commercial circle. It's just about people who meet, who really want to drive that issue and to further it. Just imagine you go to LinkedIn, there are just posts that focus on ChatGPT. And there are just a few companies who successfully use it. And that was our motivation to set up this circle. And yeah, there is a lot that you can ask and say about this issue. So feel free, if you have questions, feel free to ask them. Thank you, Peter, for your insightful presentation. Okay, I just noticed that we have to adapt our license model of AX semantics because that is also an issue that links to the prompt situation. We will do that very soon for the prompt engineering field. So experimenting with ChatGPT is something that is nice to do. Okay, questions from our participants are there already? There's one tangible question. What prompts exist for SEO optimization? Do you have an answer for that? Yes, so the prompt is not a word, but consists of various aspects. I showed you the hub where prompts are collected for SEO or for product descriptions, and these prompts are assessed and categorized. So what is good and what is bad? Assessing results of a model is very difficult because you need criteria. SEO can be measured, and that's an advantage. I can share that with you, and I could read out 10 prompts for you, but this would be boring. So what I would like to say is that prompts can be used, and good prompts have become increasingly complex, especially as for images and pictures. Of course, they are not based on natural language. You have to be a little bit creative here, and this also applies to SEO. There are some free prompts and also prompts that are fee-based, and yeah. There's a second question that refers to the legal context. Do you have copyright tests for, or do you have copyright tests? In what sense? As for your study, whether some copyright tests as for images that were from third parties, maybe. Yes, there is a tool. Copyrights, that's an issue that is very difficult here. It's very critical as regards images, if you use an image that existed already and adapt it. But the problem is that you cannot really find out the source of a language generation system. The sources do not exist at all times. You cannot test the copyright here. I know that this is a major issue. Carsten Ulbricht, Mr. Legal Web 2.0, said it is not important because we are looking here at public data that are recombined. So from a legal point of view, this is not vital. Horst asked a question in the chat. I talked to Professor Gentsch last week in Berlin. It is really difficult here to master this challenge of society. Yes, the filter bubble is getting bigger. It is difficult to distinguish between good and poor content here because we have synthetic content on the internet. And yes, this poses a huge challenge also for society. We have to assess what happens in the long time with us, because we don't really fathom what is happening to us here in the synthetic bubble. Synthetic needs to use synthetic, and this then leads to a vicious circle. And sometimes you have to mark maybe which content is made by human beings. Maybe this might be something that will become essential in the time to come. But people also fear that they are pushed out of work. And they also fear what ChatGPT can actually do. If you want to build a knowledge-based system, you also need to have facts and the knowledge graph together, and this then can lead to a knowledge model. But it is a misconception. You cannot ask something very complex to ChatGPT and you don't get a complex answer. You just get the answer that is on the internet already. Maybe the result is so good because we have good writers and good editors on the internet, but yeah, you have to distinguish here. You can use own sources and good prompting, yes, but I do understand the fears and the worries. People always say you don't have to be afraid of AI, you just have to be afraid of your co-workers to use AI. But no, I can see that AI will definitely boost our performance on a business level, but we will have fewer employees in companies. I'm deeply convinced of that. So there will be this issue, and we have to take it seriously and have to take the worries and concerns seriously because everything is happening so quickly. change happens so swiftly, and this speed of innovation is truly unprecedented.